Some years ago, a third grade girl received a letter from another third grade girl who hated her, though she couldn't imagine why. The letter read, "Awful Mary." Not Dear Mary, just Awful Mary. "You are the stinkiest girl in this world. I hope you die. I have some ideas. Play in the road, cut your throat, drink poison, knife yourself. Do some of this, please, you big fat girl. I'm praying, Lord, oh, please let Mary die. We're in need of fresh air." At 14 years of age, Mary committed suicide. In her personal box where she kept her things, they found this letter and, sadly enough, a little Bible she had received in 5th grade. The Bible had not yet been opened. Hurtful, ugly words, and they did their damage. How many of us have heard them, huh? Words like stupid, bad, show off, fat, ugly. Words that sometimes stay with us. Jesus would hear these words too. They called him a drunkard, a glutton, a friend of tax collectors and prostitutes, a heretic, a blasphemer, and more. But I believe that there was another word that would stay with Jesus forever. That when he was tired or sad or discouraged or ridiculed, that he would hang on to this word and it would be enough to help him be okay. We'll hear that word in tomorrow's gospel, actually. Jesus first heard it at his baptism and then again hears it in his transfiguration. And this word was spoken by none other than his Father. And the word was beloved. Jesus heard his Father call him beloved. And when life was hard for him, I think he would remember the day his Father called him beloved. And it was what he needed to be okay, the foundation from which he could go forth and live a life for others. Plenty of us here have been called all kinds of names. And sometimes, maybe even in 3rd grade, they still stick with us, huh? The parent who called us worthless, the teacher who called us stupid, the classmates who called us fat, the spouse who called us ugly, the person who even attacked our goodness and called us fake. But there is another word, and I ask you to hear it tonight again, if you can, or maybe even for the first time. It was spoken by God to you at your baptism. At your baptism, God said to you, "You are my beloved." And it's true, you are. You might find it hard to believe that God loves you personally like you are, but that doesn't change the reality because God does. You are beloved of God. Tonight we're asked to look a bit at dealing with distorted self-image. There might be a few here whose distortion is that you think you're perfect in every way. Oh, God bless you. Yeah. And if that's you, and the day comes that you're actually much more like me and the rest of us, you're kind of all messed up on some level, oh, please be gentle with yourself because it's okay. More of us, because not many who would think they'd be perfect would actually be drawn to tonight. More of us, I suggest, actually struggle with our imperfections and our wounds. We are all together too keenly aware of those things that we do not like about ourselves. And there are pieces of our past that we just wish had never happened. And yet we think about them, and again, we kind of get that bad feeling in our guts. We've all had to let go of our certainty about how the dream of life should go. And our imperfections are so in our faces. And in the midst of all of that, we can love. Nothing can take that from us. No weakness, no disability, no suffering destroys that goodness. How much I wish every person could know that profoundly as true. And I think of how much more than I even does God wish you could know that as true. You see, our dignity is this, and this alone. We are loved. We can love. And it doesn't depend on any of those externals. You know, we live in a day and age which loudly proclaims what really matters is how we look. I might digress for a second. You know, I have friends who work in advertising sometimes, and those supermodels who just happen to have a genetic advantage to begin with, and the luxury of a personal trainer 4 hours a day, and on and on. She tells me they still airbrush every photograph. We don't stand a chance. Okay. It's a false image. We're told that what matters is how we look, or that we are successful, or how many likes we have on this post or that. And our first reading says it this way, because how often do we see, I don't measure up, or look what I've done. Our first reading says, could a mother forget her infant, or be without care for the child of her womb? And you think, no. But God says, even should she forget, I will never forget you. You and I do not have enough power to make God not love us. I'm sorry for 2 negatives in 1 sentence. Okay. But you and I do not have enough power to make God not love us. I think sometimes the greeting of the angel to Mary today, hail, you are full of grace, comes to us as well. It does. We're not Mary, but we are full of grace. And we think, well, who am I that the mother of my Lord should come to me? Who am I that be visited by an angel? Who am I? Well, God is the one who thinks you're amazing. And our scriptures in the New Testament will proclaim this again and again, that Jesus knows every single thing about us, meets us right where we are, and will never, ever leave us. So, if you could hear one sentence tonight from me, I kind of wish this would be the one. Jesus never invites us to grow without first loving us just like we are. I'll say that again. Jesus never invites us to grow without first loving us just like we are. There's no shame. There's no need for shame. Oh, there's so much to say about distorted self-image. So that's the basic. I'll end with 2 brief things. One a little bit about our bodies, and one about the missing growing up message. Because so many of us carry shame about our bodies and how we look, I thought it'd be good to poke a bit of fun and resurrect 4 of David Letterman's top 10 list shortly before he went off air, called The Top 10 Things You Don't Want to Hear from a Talking Mirror. Again, I don't know there's such a thing, but if, in any case, according to David Letterman, these are 4 of the top 10 things you wouldn't want to hear from a talking mirror. all of which I could have imagined myself hearing. Number 4, good evening, ma'am or sir. Number 3, sorry, this is what you look like. Number 2, you're not really the mirror type. And the number 1 thing you don't want to hear from a talking mirror, for goodness sake, turn me towards anyone else. Most briefly, I will simply say this about your body. It is holy and good. It holds the divine. Yes, we take care of it. Maybe apologize to it. Perhaps forgive it. Mostly, I think it'd be a good thing to bring it to God as it is. And one day we will have to leave it behind. But your body is precious. It holds the divine. And finally, the missing messages. You know, as kids growing up, there are messages we take in. Either they're said or not said, but somehow we take them in. There's some messages that we needed to have heard but didn't. So what I'm going to do is say a number of them. And I believe that everybody will have at least one of these that kind of gets at you a bit, I trust. And if the first part describes you, then let the next sentence, the ending sentence, be a message from God to you. And if it helps, if it works for you, picture yourself standing in front of that talking mirror and seeing yourself, and then hear God say this to that person looking back from the mirror. So the first, some of us were told growing up, it's not okay to make mistakes, and who, as perfectionists, are always trying to get it just right. And if that's you, I wish you could hear God from your mirror say to you, you are good enough. You're good. You're good. You are good. 2, some growing up were made to feel it's not okay to have your own needs. And we spend so much energy trying to please others and earn their love. If you could, imagine yourself, if that's you, looking in the mirror and hear God say to you, you are wanted. You don't have to do anything. I want you. 3, some of us intuited growing up that it's not okay to have our own identity and feelings, and we strive to present to the world what we think they want us to be. Could you hear God say to you, you are loved for yourself, not anything you achieve. If you were told it's not okay to be too functional or too happy, you are seen for who you are. Or if you thought it was not okay to be too comfortable in this world, then you kind of tend to stay detached, gathering more information but not letting it out. Your needs are not a problem. It's okay. And some were told it's not okay to trust yourself, and the world is a scary place. I bet there's a lot here who on some level are frightened. And if you could hear God say, maybe look into the mirror and hear God look right back at you and say, you're safe. In the things that most deeply matter, you are safe and always will be. Some were told it's not okay to depend on anyone or anything, so you're going to grab for all the gusto you can get, and you can be told by God, you will be taken care of. There will always be enough. And a few were so violated when we're young, and we're taught it's not okay to be vulnerable or to trust anyone, so you need to be strong and tough. And God says to you, you will not be betrayed. Your deepest heart will not be betrayed. I will never betray you. And finally, some were told growing up, it's not okay to assert yourself. So you just go around making peace and try not to make waves. And God says, your presence matters. Mostly, whatever our wounds, whatever our gifts, whatever our histories, whatever swirls in your hearts this night, in addition to wishing the guy would quit talking finally, may we each hear this from God. For a healthy self-image, hear this. You are beloved. You are. You are. But before we go, I have a message for our young ones from age 2 to 102 from my buddy Big Al. I try not to be jealous of the fact that he's much more popular than I am. He comes out every Sunday after communion with a message for kids and sometimes writes books and stuff for them. So let's see what he's up to tonight. Oh, he's stuck. Come on out, old buddy. Are you... It's okay, they're nice. Where am I? Where are you? Well, you're at Our Lady of the Snows. Why? To be with these people who are just so wonderful. When you look at them, Big Al, what do you think? They're weird. No, they're not weird. Joking. I'm glad to hear that. So if I were to ask you, Big Al, how are you doing? What would you say? It's not good. Not good? What's the matter? What's the matter? Oh, they said you were ugly. They said you were ugly? Oh, I'm sorry, Big Al, that's not nice. You know, sometimes when people would call me ugly, I would just think of it this way. What? I'm more just facially challenged. Okay. It's better, good, okay. So Big Al, so I've got a picture for you that I want to show you. Yeah. It's a picture of Jesus. Whoa. It's one of my favorite pictures of all. Can't wait. Okay, now close your eyes. Don't cheat. Okay, so Big Al, I want you to open your eyes and look at this picture of Jesus. This guy is crazy. Okay, yeah. Well, Big Al, it is a picture of Jesus because he lives in them. In them? In them. Whoa. Yeah. Whoa. And it's true, Big Al. You know, you might not think that, but we are the body of Christ, and he lives in our hearts and in the hearts of these people like me, and imperfect but good. I've got one more picture for you of Jesus. Cool. Now close your eyes. Okay. So Big Al, I want you to open your eyes and look at this picture of Jesus. Okay, yeah. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. Anyway, it's okay. But that's the point. It's sometimes hard to see it in ourselves. It is. And I wish that if you had a chance tonight to look in the mirror, you would hear the God who speaks back to you and says, oh, you are my beloved. Oh, he's coming too. Oh, that's just weird. Okay, well, anyways. But it's true, Big Al. God lives in each of our hearts. Anything else? Okay, you can say it. Go Cardinals. Okay, yeah.